What happens when you think about Yu-Gi-Oh! On a daily basis? You get obsessed about these deck ideas no matter how ridiculous they may seem. Still, my main reasoning behind merging both the Toon and Sky Striker archetypes into one deck is because Toon Table of Contents and Toon Bookmark not only help you search for just about any card in the Toon archetype, but they can also help you set up your graveyard for those additional Sky Striker spell effects. As a forewarning, I'm not playing any of the monsters that you find in a traditional Toon build, like Toon Dark Magician or Red Eyes Toon Dragon. Instead, I decided to focus on level 4s for both the Toon and Sky Strike archetypes, so that way I can use my extra deck as a sort of a rank 4 toolbox. In other words, my idea behind this Toon Sky Striker deck is so that way I can play control long enough for me, so that way I can go for a win in late game. So if you guys want to see deck profiles like this, or if you want to go ahead and bash it, then feel free to sound off in the comments. Better yet, be sure to let me know down in the comments how you play Sky Strikers, whether you include the Toon cards or not. With that being said, it's time to engage with this Toon Sky Striker deck profile. So with that being said, the first card that I'm running in this deck is of course 3 copies of Sky Striker Ace Ray. This is basically the floater for all of your Sky Striker monsters. So if anything, you can just go ahead and normal summon this card and then go into any one of your Link 1 Sky Striker monsters. And if one of your Sky Striker monsters leaves the field by an opponent's card, then you can go ahead and special summon this back from your graveyard. What's cool about Ray is that your opponent wouldn't be able to target it because you're going to be tributing it off anyway in order to special summon your Sky Striker Ace monsters from your extra deck. I also have 1 copy of Sky Striker Ace Rose. You guys can go ahead and include a second copy if you want to. If you ask me, you don't need 3. I think 2 is just about enough, and you want to have at least 1 copy of Rose. What's cool about Rose is that it is another level 4 monster they can use in order to go into your rank 4 toolbox. And not to mention additional link material for whether you want to go into your Link 1 or your Link 1 Sky Striker Ace monsters or your Link 2, which is Zeke. Next up, I run only 2 Toon monsters. I run 2 copies of Toon Heartbeat Lady, as well as 2 copies of Toon Mermaid. Like I said, I'm not playing any of the traditional Toon monsters like Toon Dark Magician or Red Eyes Toon Dragon. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I want to focus on being able to go into my rank 4 toolbox. Toon Heartbeat Lady has a good non-targeting back row removal effect where you can special summon it, and in the same effect, you can destroy a spell or trap that your opponent controls. And Toon Mermaid, of course, is also a free special summon since you don't need to tribute any monsters in order to special summon it. And the last monster that I'm running in this main deck is 3 copies of Nibiru the Primal Being, so that way I can deal with those combo-based decks. Now for the spells. Of course, for the Sky Striker spells, I am running 3 copies of Sky Striker Mecha Widow Anchor. This works as a brain control as well as a Forbidden Chalice for the archetype. And I also run 2 copies of Sky Striker Airspace Area 0, excuse me. So yeah, you can use this effect in order to, it works as a pot of duality for the effect for the deck really. So you can to basically set 1 card on the field from your hand if you want to, or you just churn out 1 monster from your hand, you special summon 1 monster from your hand, and then use Area 0's effect in order to send that monster to the graveyard or a card to the graveyard, and then get another Sky Striker card from there. I decided to bump it down to 2 just because I want to make room for... I decided to run 2 just because I don't want to brick. Next for the 1-ofs, you guys already know, Engage is back. So I want to try and make use of Engage as much as possible. And you guys already know, Engage is back at 1. I want to try and use this. And you guys already know, Engage is back at 1. This is actually one of the reasons why I decided to include Toons in this Sky Striker build. Just so that way I can fill up my graveyard with spells, so that way I can get the additional draw effect of Engage, as I already explained at the beginning of the video. Of course, I also have multi-roll, Afterburners, Jamming Waves. I also decided to include Scissors Cross, so that way I can continue my Link plays by getting a Sky Striker monster from the graveyard. I also have the 1 Hornetrones, 1 Shark Cannon, and 1 copy of Eagle Booster. If anything, you guys can go ahead and just opt out of this Eagle Booster for a second copy of Shark Cannon. And now for the Toon spells, of course, 3 copies of Toon Table of Contents, as well as 3 copies of Toon Bookmark. For those of you who are not familiar with this card lets you search for Toon World from your deck, or any card from your deck that specifically lists Toon World in its text. That's what makes the Toon Table of Contents engine so good. Speaking of Toon World, I do run 2 copies of Toon World. If anything, you guys can go ahead and run Toon Kingdom instead of Toon World. I just don't have it right now with me. What's good about Toon Kingdom is that it is indeed searchable off of terraforming. But if you ask me, it doesn't hurt to have the original Toon World, just so that way you have a second way of getting a Toon World onto the field, so that way all of your Toon cards can go off. And last but not least, I decided to include just 1 copy of Shadow Toon, just so that way, if I have Nibiru on the field and I have enough attack points for my Nibiru token, then I can just activate this and burn for game and win. And for the last cards in my main deck, you already know. Reinforcement of the Army, Terraforming, Upstart Goblin, Double or Nothing for the Utopia package. And the only trap that I run is There Can Be Only One. This is good, especially in this deck, because I am playing with different monster types in my main deck. So Toon Harpy Lady, for example, is a winged beast. Toon Mermaid is a water monster, is an aqua monster. Sky Striker Ace Ray is a warrior. The Sky Striker Ace monsters in my main deck, in my extra deck, are machines, and the Nibiru is a rock. Next up, my extra deck, and my extra deck is pretty standard for the most part. I'm running 3 copies of Sky Striker Ace Shizuku. For this card, lets you search your deck for a Sky Striker spell in the end phase. Then I also run 3 copies of Sky Striker Ace Shizuku. This lets you recycle a Sky Striker spell from your graveyard. And I also run 2 copies of Hayate. This is the Sky Striker Link monster that you'll be attacking with most often, because it can attack directly. And it has that additional effect where it says, after damage calculation, if this card battled, you can send 1 Sky Striker card from your deck to the graveyard. In other words, it's a pretty decent way to get Engage out from your deck. And I also have 1 copy of Kaina. I don't really have a reason why I have this in this build. I just like to have the additional name in this extra deck. In addition to the Link 1 Sky Striker monsters, I do run 1 copy of Sky Striker Ace Zeke as well. Now, this is a pretty decent spot removal card. I would include at least 1 other Link 2 or higher monster if I wasn't running the rank 4 toolbox, to be honest. Speaking of the rank 4 toolbox, this is what I have. I run 1 copy of Gallant Granite. Since almost all of the main deck monsters are level 4s, that I can go into this monster pretty easily. And I also run the Utopia package, 1 copy of Utopia Double, regular Utopia, Utopia the Lightning, just in case my Utopia Double gets ashed. And last but not least, I run 1 copy of Divine Arsenal AA Zeus. So like I said at the beginning of the video, this Toon Sky Striker hybrid is pretty ridiculous. So you guys do not have to run the 2 cards. You don't have to run the ranked 4 toolbox if you don't want to. By all means, you guys can go ahead and run the Access Code Talker package if you want to. In other words, you would replace the Toon cards with an additional hand trap that is also a tuner, like Ash Blossom or Effect Veiler. So that way you can normal summon it and then go into Christian Halka Firebrax in your extra deck, then special summon Effect Veiler from your deck, and then you can go into Link 3 Selene in order to special summon your Effect Veiler back from the graveyard, and then you can go into Access Code Talker and make for some easy spot removal. Last but not least, here's my side deck. I don't know too much about what's going on in the meta right now, but this is the side deck that I'm going with for right now. So you guys can customize the side deck in any way that you want to, any way that that fits your play style. So I run 3 copies of Ghost Spell. I also run 3 copies of Dark Ruler No More to stop those combo decks. I also run 2 copies of Twin Twisters, as well as the 1 copy of Harpy's Feather Duster. And last but not least, I run 3 copies of Compulsory Evacuation Device, as well as Solemn Judgment. So my idea behind playing this side deck is so that way I can bait out my opponent's disruptions and negates, so that way I can break through their boards more easily. Let's say, for example, that I set Twin Twisters and Compulsory and Solemn Judgment. What I would do first, that maybe my opponent wants to have some back row over there. So I activate something like Twin Twisters. And let's say my opponent has something like Borreload Savage Dragon, for example. and I can braid it out with either a compulsory evacuation device or solemn judgment and get it off of the field. So that's it for this deck profile, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed this video and you want to help support the channel, then be sure to like the video. And if you haven't so already, be sure to subscribe to the channel and ring the bell so you stay updated on my latest Yu-Gi-Oh videos. Don't forget to start shopping using my TCG Player affiliate link in the description below so that way you can support the channel as you buy the cards that you want. And you can find the links to all my social media platforms, including my Twitch and my Discord, also in the description. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Hope you have a majestic day.